أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله أشهد أن محمدا رسول الله حي على الصلاة حي على الصلاة حي على الفلاح حي على الفلاح الله أكبر الله أكبر لا إله إلا الله
Assalamu alaikum.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله ومن يضلل فلا هادي له وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله. First we seek refuge with Allah from Satan, the avowed enemy. All praise is due to Allah, the Lord and sustainer of all worlds. Indeed, we give praise to Allah, whom we seek his aid and forgiveness for our wrongdoings, our nafs. He whom Allah guides, there is none that can lead him astray, and he whom Allah leads astray, there is none that can guide him. I bear witness that there is none worthy of worship but Allah, the one God, who has no partners. And I bear witness that Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam is his prophet, servant, and messenger. Today, really briefly, want to talk to you a little bit about, following through. We were following that logical course. Many of us who have accepted Islam and we practice Islam, it's just kind of like we want to just find a safe place. But Islam is a verb. Islam is something that takes action. And regardless if you're in it or not, it's going to reach its goal. It is what Allah wants, that's what's going to happen. With or without you, with or without me, it will happen. So when you think of logic, you think of the definition would be like reasoning conducted or assessed according to strict principles of validity, or the conducive intellectual thought measured by one's strong beliefs and values, not someone else's. The values you believe are universal and are held in a sound, rational, legitimate way through one's strength and conviction about what they believe. Now, we have that point in our lives where we have some level of intellectual growth in ourselves. We learn to see the signs of the things that are around us in ourselves. We see the signs of our environment through animals or people we associate with. And then we ask the question, why am I here? We ask questions like, what is really my purpose? What are my talents? Who is God? We have a keen sense of what our problems are, but we fall short when it comes to coming up with a solution. The ideas that are to be made into a particular action, and we forget how, or we fall short at getting that into the action. Now, these ideas that should be put into action, part of it is because we make the wrong sacrifice. Our sacrifice falls short. If it's a particular problem, we just tend to solve the problem. But our actions should be for Allah. It should simply be for Allah so that we can achieve its ultimate goal. But we tend to look at a problem, solve the problem. Once there's no more issue with that problem, we pretty much stop. And then we react to the next problem. But if we totally put ourselves into our action being for Allah, then it'll never end. And we roll right along with what Islam's goal is, what Allah wants for us, the victory that Allah wants for us. To make this right action, it does take revelation. It takes something to motivate you. It takes something to inspire you, to want you to be strong and to not have fear. It takes revelation to do that. And that revelation turns into what is revolution. Now, we have been taught that revolution is like war. Like we think of the French Revolution, we think of violence, we think of something like that. But revolution is not that. Revolution is what we call in Islam jihad. It's what we do internally with ourselves. We change ourselves. So through revelation, we start to change ourselves. And through this jihad with ourselves, we attack the fear that keeps us from getting to what the gift of Allah is. See, because there's fear in between there. Allah has said in the Quran that He had perfected this religion. And He perfected this religion on this day, and that is His favor upon us. That is the favor. That there's no other book out there that says this is your religion, this is your deen, this is the way you live, and this is the Rasulullah to follow. This is what you should do. There's no other book like that. Now, I'm sure a Christian can detest that. He can challenge that. But he can't say Jesus said it, or Isa alayhi salam said it. He can say Paul said something like that. But this book tells us that this faith, this religion is for everyone. And we have to follow it because those who challenge it knows that Islam is a verb. And regardless of how we practice our faith, it's going to keep going with or without you. The belief of Islam is a religion for humanity. And this religion helps us be fearless. And to be fearless, we tend to pose as a masculine figure. And just think about how in masculinity is kind of like, pretty much subdued in a sense in this culture. Because if you're insensitive to the emotions of a person or insensitive to the empathy, they consider you cave-like. You're past your time. But the only thing that remains constant in all of this society is the religion of Islam and the Muslims who practice it. And we don't have to be aggressive at spreading Islam because it's going to do it on its own. And it helps us as people be aggressive in a sense when it comes to dealing with ourselves and our own faults. That is the war of the jihad inside of us. If you think about it, just look at all the superstars that have changed over the years. Just in my lifetime, you could just look at Michael Jackson. For instance, how much he has changed in his time that he was living. How much music has changed in the time that TV's been out. How much music have changed. How much shame has changed. So much has changed, but the only thing that remained the same is the Muslim and the religion of Islam. It is the only thing that is holding true. It is the only thing that is the guide to get us to Allah. Many people have succumbed to the whispers of Shaitan, and they live their lives by it. They think that their prayer reaches God, but their prayer really is a false sense of freedom. It's a false sense of accepting their poverty or their oppression, and a false sense of being courageous. What I mean by that is that by them not really finding out who and what jihad is, a struggle within themselves, they tend to think that they're praying to God, but actually the shaitan is on leave because he don't have to worry about them. His fight is with you, the believer. His fight is with the believer. He wants the believer to have fear. He wants the believer to have fear of poverty. He wants the believer to have the fear of oppression, violence. Because he knows that if you change yourself, then the favors of Allah will come upon you. So it's not really about changing the world. Because changing the world simply means changing yourself. It starts with you. He has perfected our religion. Now we have to take in the principles. Double down on the principles of what Allah wants us to be. Find our talent and use our talent simply for Allah, because it is an action. Islam is an action. It is a verb, and it is a masculine verb. It's not a verb meaning that, oh, I'm just going to dominate you and I'm aggressive. It don't mean it in that way. It just means that if I have to sit in the corner, Islam's still going to shine. The message still going to get out. I'll give you an example. In the 1950s, there was, African Americans had to sit on the back of the bus. Now we believe when I was growing up, I thought maybe that Miss Rosa Parks sat in the front of the bus. But actually, she sat in the front seat of the black section of the bus, in the back. You learn that over time, because they said that she boldly sat in the front of the bus. But she sat in the front seat in the black section of the bus. So when it overfilled with white patrons, the bus driver wanted her to get out of her seat. Now, revelation don't start just because somebody tell you something, but it starts when you go home. It starts it starts in a conversation. It starts with words before you do action. So Miss Rosa Parks said, you know what? I'm not breaking the law. Simply, I'm sitting where I'm supposed to sit. I have paid. My feet are hurting and I'm not standing up. So he gets mad, call the police. So basically, he started a war because something in her woke up. Something inside her woke up. And what happened after that? It started a revolution. It started a revolution that I didn't break the law. I paid for the ride. So why should I get up out of my seat? He should get off the bus, wait for the next bus, if anything. But for his privilege, she had to get up. No, I'm not getting up. that one act didn't just start by her just being upset because she was tired. It was because when she went home with her husband and her family, she talked about it every day. It was revelation. But what is revelation if you don't act on it? If you have no reason to do anything? Now we know that the civil rights movement turned into a lot of things. Because at that time you had the Black Muslim movement, you had Black Panthers, you had so many things that happened where people, now the introduction of Islam and all of these things started happening within 10 years of that. What that did was start to remove the fear of 300, 400 years of fear. So that you can stand up because God says so, not because you just want to ride on the bus in the front or drive the bus. I hope it's not for that. It's for your rights as a human being. But you do it simply for Allah. But we have to continue to follow its pace, follow the place. Where is it taking us to? Where are the principles? Of course, that movement has died a little bit. But it did start a revolution. Now, I'm not here to chastise any other faith or any other belief. But when we hear people say, you know, it's the sign of the times because of the way people act, it's because they don't understand what jihad is. They don't understand what revelation is. And revelation is supposed to turn into something. If it don't turn into something, it's just words. This is why we don't have a way to solve our problems, to solve our issues. So we claim that, it's the sign of the times. It's the end of the world. There's nothing for us to do here but wait. That's not true. And I'll tell you why. Because Allah says He created the earth and the heaven and the earth in 6 days, 6 periods of time. And we don't know what periods of time that is. So if it is the end of time, then we are in a period of time. And then there's a process in that period of time. But to be a believer, we have to have that battle within ourselves. Because that's where Allah will change you, change us, make us better people, and eventually change the world. Now, many of us, we follow that logic. We came to this point, but we get to the point we see these words and we really don't know what to do. We don't have a cause. We don't think that we have to go out here and save people. We don't think that we have salvation. Yes, we do. But it's not to make $1 million. A big house. It's not for that. It is for Allah alone. All of us, our whole destiny is to reach Him, period. Every one of us, bad or good, we're all going in the dirt. We got to line up those deeds so that they're good for us. In the eyes of Allah, it's good for us. Now, we all want longevity. I don't want pain as I get older. I can't, it hurts now. Some things hurts now. My recovery time ain't like it used to be when I was 20. I do a workout, it hurts. I can't do it the next day. That's the first thing I notice. So I know that, hey man, this thing breaks down. This body breaks down. I don't have time to be serving other gods. I don't have time to have hang-ups about material stuff and all that. I don't have time for that. And this is what we want from believers, is to believe in Allah alone. Maintain a good material life for yourself, no doubt. But make sure that you serve Allah solely. That's it. And not only that, you teach it. You tell it to someone. Have you ever asked yourself why I'm a Christian, or why I'm a Muslim or a Buddhist? Have you ever asked yourself, why am I here? Why does a bird fly? Allah tells you that when you see a bird wings come in, it is He that holds it up with His Rahman. What a wonderful thing. And we think that just because a bird got wings, he can fly. Not necessarily. It is Allah who holds him up. So not take things for granted, because this is a beautiful faith, a beautiful religion, and we should be spreading it. We should not let no one go by without hearing something about Islam. Because it's going to keep going. And I want to be sound and in sync with it. So when Allah calls me back, He's pleased. I want that for all of us. When you get there, you expect to see me. When I get there, I expect to see you. And those that are gone, we should make dua for them. Because we had a hard jihad here on this planet, in this country, in this society. We had a hard jihad here. But Allah has revealed to us that this is not a religion belonging to a group of people. If only it's for a group of people, it's for the pious. It's for the believer. It's for the one who wants to be guided right. It's for the strong. It's for the humble. It's for the kind. It's for the meek. No matter who you are or where you're from. This is your faith. And our job is to tell people. Ask yourself the question yourself. Ask yourself, why are you here? Our mind clings so much to the earth. We want all that we can get, but it's not going to be our success. Our success is our deeds to what pleases Allah. I pray that something I said today is helpful and good to our souls, and that we can tell other people what we hear today. It's just, I wish that people can see it the way I don't know if they do or not. But it is about you. Allah says He will not change a condition, your condition, of any people, unless they change what's in themselves, in their souls. If that's the answer, we should be further along. We shouldn't be blaming other people, because it's about me. It's about you, the individual. It changes his own self, changes his home, changes his community, on and on and on. And we got many ways to do it. It reflects from inside, but kindness is the way to do it. To give a good word and a smile. We got the example. And when people feel despair, then you teach them about, do they know God? Wherever you go today, may Allah keep you in peace. May He keep you safe. Continue to guide you and us so that we can grow and be great Muslims. Be well pleased with Allah, well pleased with us in our duties. ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار. Subhanallah walhamdulillah wa la ilaha illallah wallahu akbar wa la hawla wa la quwwata illa billahil aliyyil azim. I did forget to mention the Florida Conference Muslim Association. They're having a conference up in Jacksonville. You have the tickets.
I sent the tickets back, but they're gonna leave slots open. Since nobody purchased the tickets here, they wanted the tickets back. And the tickets are $40 for the tickets, and I think it's $10 for registration. Yeah, less than $100 you'll pay for everything, but the rooms are $99 a room. And so that's gonna jump off on the 3rd, right?
On the 3rd, yeah. 3rd of November.
That weekend.
Okay. Also, next Sunday is cleanup day. So inshallah, we can send out a text, what's up, anything to get everybody to rally around that so we don't have to be here all day. Inshallah. Okay, don't forget your charity. May Allah continue to bless us. Subhana rabbika rabbi izati ami yasifun wa salam alal musalim. Alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Come to salam.